That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 26 for today, Monday, July 20th, 2015. I am your host, Dave Brown. You can check us out each and every week here on the Around the Ring podcast. You can hear us every Tuesday right after Tough Enough on the Kings of Wrestling Radio at kowradio.weebly.com. You can also find us on Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and on the Spark Radio Network, so you can check us out all of those places. You can also follow us on the Twitter at Around the Ring OK. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/AroundTheRingOK. We also have a homepage. It's kind of a crappy URL, but yeah, hey, I'm poor. It's aroundtheringok.wordpress.com, and it's got links to all of our good stuff there, and yeah, so, send us an email if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, tell me how much I suck, aroundtheringok@gmail.com. Alright, with that out of the way, it is the day after Battleground. Last night, WWE had their most recent pay-per-view, Battleground, and yeah, so, we're just going to jump right into the pay-per-view, and then we'll talk a little bit about last week's Raw, and then got some stuff about NXT and Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor that we're going to get to this week. And plus, we're going to end up with WWE.com had a list of their 10 best matches of 2015 so far. So we're going to kind of go through that. It was not a bad little list, but, let's start off with the big thing that most folks are talking about today, Battleground. So Battleground last night was a pay-per-view that actually ended early, which was weird. I didn't watch it, actually all of it last night. And okay, so before we get into the pay-per-view, this is a slight complaint I have, and maybe it's a question. If anyone out there knows how to fix this, please let me know. This is about the WWE Network. So I watch the WWE Network on two different platforms, either one on my computer or two through my Sony Blu-ray player. Now, on the Sony player, when I'm watching the WWE Network, if I go to watch something that's live, it gives me an option to start from the beginning. This is great, because I hardly ever sit down on time to watch anything. I don't watch Raw on time, because I don't have cable, so yeah, I have to go through some interesting ways of getting that show, even on Monday nights. And generally with pay-per-views, I'm making dinner, I'm doing family stuff, so it's not like right comes 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, or Central Daylight Time in this case, I'm in front of my TV or in front of my computer ready to watch the pay-per-view. So last night I figured, well, I'll just watch it upstairs on my computer so I can take notes as I go along. And I go upstairs, log into the WWE Network. And this isn't the first time I haven't been able to find this, but, it just starts playing whatever's live. And I cannot find an option to start the show from the beginning. This really irks me. I look for a good, maybe 3 to 5 minutes before I finally say, fuck it, get up and go downstairs and watch it on the television. I like watching on my computer for a couple of reasons. One, with headphones on, you can hear things a lot better. Two, I, don't have to get the are you serious looks from my family, what a freaking nerd you are for watching this. I also get those looks while I'm watching all my favorite comic book shows and movies, so it's a look I'm used to. But, anywho. So yeah, I generally prefer to watch it on the computer. The size of the screen, isn't a huge deal to me, but whatever. Anywho, where the hell was I going with this? Oh yeah, so there's not a way that I can find to do the watch from beginning when you're doing it through the website. So I went downstairs and cranked it up and started watch. I selected watch from the beginning, and I watched through the very beginning of the Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt match live. And like I said, I'm old and I was tired, so I decided it was time to get ready for bed. I watched the rest of it this morning on my computer, which was fine because I could go into the resume watching feature, and even though it kind of screwed that up, and a lot of times it doesn't always pick up right when you're watching something live if you stop and go back to it later, and that's fine. I don't expect this thing to wipe my ass for me. But this one feature, this start watching from the beginning, I love that when it comes to something that's on live, when it's generally used with pay-per-views. So if there's anyone out there that knows how to do that through the website, please, tweet me, send me an email, something, let me know, because I would love to know how to do that. But back to the pay-per-view itself, there's a lot of people pissing and moaning about a lot of things on this pay-per-view. And I'm going to say that overall, I thought it was pretty good. And generally speaking, the reaction seems to be either people loved it or hated it. I didn't really love it, and I didn't hate it. I thought there was some good stuff. I thought there were some great matches. And, I thought it was overall a good show, an enjoyable show. It had some things that left me just shaking my head, saying, why? But we'll get to those here in a second. So we'll go through the card real quick. I did not see the pre-show, so I did not see Wade Barrett and R-Truth, and I just don't care. R-Truth cracks me up. Don't get me wrong. I think he's very funny. I just had no desire to watch that. So the show started off with Randy Orton against Sheamus. I had zero desire to see this match. Less than none. And it was actually a pretty good match. I'm not really a fan of Sheamus. Randy Orton, when he tries, can be really good. And Randy Orton in front of his hometown crowd in St. Louis, a crowd that was on freaking fire the whole night, which made the show so much better. It was fun. It was a good match. Randy Orton won clean with the RKO. I enjoyed it. Can't really say much else about it. We then had the New Day versus the Primetime Players for the tag team titles. This also was another fun match. Xavier Woods was being just his Xavier Woods self, driving people insane. I really am a big fan of the New Day. I liked them from the beginning. There were things I didn't think they were being used very well at first. I love them as heels. I think this is a lot of fun. And I love Xavier Woods. He is such an annoying piece of crap in so many ways. It's just so much fun to watch. And it was a good match. These two teams work well together. Primetime Players won, which I was surprised. I figured they'd give the belts back to the New Day, but I suspect they're going to keep this feud going, which is fine with me. I enjoy this feud, so if they're going to keep it up for a while, then yay. So that was that. Let's see, next up we had Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. Right off the bat, I'm enjoying this feud a lot. I think Reigns and Wyatt really bring out the best in each other. And these are two guys that are going to be very, very important for the WWE for a long time. And so, I was going into this. This was one of the matches I was most looking forward to. I love Bray Wyatt. I like Roman Reigns when he's not being shoved down our throat, i.e. Royal Rumble this year. But I like Bray Wyatt, and this was a freaking great match. It was back and forth. It was fun to watch. These guys, like I said, they brought the best out of each other. And throughout the whole match, I kept thinking, I'm like, is that Luke Harper's? Hey! You keep hearing from the crowd? Damn, someone's doing a really good Luke Harper impression. Well, then at some point toward the end, looked like Reigns was gonna win, and this guy in a hoodie in all black comes out of nowhere and super kicks Roman, puts him back into the ring, and Bray Wyatt hits Sister Abigail for the win. And the hooded man gets into the ring, and it is Luke Harper. We're putting the family back together. Thank God. Luke Harper is fantastic. He really is. I really like actually all three of the guys in the Wyatt family. Eric Rowan is the weakest link, but you've got Harper with Bray. Now they just need to bring in Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan when he's well, because he got injured. Bring in Bo Dallas, but have Bo Dallas. Don't change him. Just have him be Bo, and have him be this obnoxious guy that hangs out with them. It would be great. So I enjoyed this. I thought this was a lot of fun. There was and earlier at some point there was a backstage bit with Team Paige, where Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch talking about rebuilding the Divas division, and they're going to go out and do it with Flair and all that. But after the Roman Reigns match, we had Team Bad backstage, which stands for Beautiful and Destructive, I think. So it's Sasha Banks, Tamina, and Naomi. And Naomi was just giving poor, I think it was JoJo, just such a hard time. It was actually kind of funny. I still, we'll talk about what happened on Raw, which I loved, with the Divas. But I still wonder why Sasha Banks was put with these two, other than Tamina and Naomi need something to do, maybe? I don't know. We then had the Divas three-way triple threat match. Sasha Banks versus Charlotte versus Brie Bella. At first it looked like it was going to be Nikki Bella, and she was like, nope, not going to do it, and sends Brie in there. And this is the point I kind of felt bad for Brie, because Brie is not a good wrestler. She's not. I have seen scrubs with better wrestling ability than Brie Bella. She's not completely just horrendous, but she's not good. And she certainly doesn't need to be or deserve to be in the spot that she's in, but, whatever. And she was absolutely the weak link in this match, and you just knew when they sent her in there. It's like, oh, honey, I kind of felt bad for her. Both Sasha Banks was hella over. Oh, speaking of, I always lose my train of thought with stuff, but back to the Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt match for a second. Wyatt was so over. It was great. But back to the Divas. Sasha was hella over. Charlotte was over. At one point there was even a "We Want Becky" chant. It was fantastic. Charlotte got the tap out win with the figure eight, and it was great. It was like a good 11-12 minute match, I think. They gave them a lot of time. It was a fun match, and it was absolutely one of the highlights of the show. It was, top 3 matches of the show. This is in that top 3, and I'll kind of give what I thought were the best matches of the show here in a second. We then come to Kevin Owens versus John Cena for the U.S. title. Owens came out to a huge pop. And one thing I noticed from the beginning of the show is they panned the crowd, how many Kevin Owens shirts there were out there. Tons of them. I saw a Finn Balor shirt, but there were tons of Kevin Owens shirts. I mean, as always, there were lots of John Cena shirts, but lots and lots of Kevin Owens shirts, which made me very happy. This was a stellar match. The back and forth, and it was fantastic right up to the finish. And I really wanted John Cena. I really wanted Kevin Owens to win this. I was hoping he would win this. I thought they would actually give it to him. But of course, the crazy-ass Irishman that is Vince McMahon couldn't let, a fat Canadian, French Canadian no less, go over on his golden boy John Cena. And as I was watching this match, sometimes John Cena gets these looks on his faces. He's like this. He has this look of this really arrogant, like, jock rich guy that thinks he's better or knows he's better than everyone else. And he has that look on his face a lot during matches, and I don't know how much of that is just because he won the genetic lottery and he's just a damn good looking dude. And I don't know how much of that is really his personality, how much of it's him playing. I just don't know. But he just, especially when he gets exasperated with stuff, he has this look on, like, this face of basically, the look on his face is essentially summed up in, how is this motherfucker not staying down? It's like, that's what he's thinking. I am John Cena. How dare this kid kick out? But this match ended with Cena getting a tap out from a really god-awful looking STF. The STF is a terrible finishing maneuver. It's a terrible submission hold. It does not... I'm sure if John Cena put my fat ass into it, I would be crying like a baby, because I have an extremely low threshold for pain, and I'm not very flexible. And he's a freaking beast of a man, muscly and strong. So he would break me in half with it. But when you're putting a guy like Kevin Owens in that thing, it doesn't look like it hurts. It just doesn't. And so that's a moment I just sat there. I was like, really? And that was a lot of the reaction of the crowd. It was funny. There was this part. The couple folks, the part of the crowd that's right across from the camera. There's some people in the front row. There were a couple people that were wearing Kevin Owens shirts, and then there were some people kind of in the same area wearing John Cena shirts. And the John Cena people were cheering, and the Kevin Owens fans just had this look on their face of like, really? Are you fucking kidding me? This? And that's kind of how I felt. And my notes that I took this morning as I'm watching this were, fuck this. Owens tapping out? Go to hell, WWE. And then I wrote, they really ruined that match with the finish. And they really did. But to be fair to the match, if you look at the match overall, it was a fantastic freaking match. Probably the best match of the night. Yeah, probably the best match of the night. But just to end it with that, it was... ugh. So after that, The Miz comes out. Well, Ryback got hurt, so there was no Intercontinental match. So they needed to kill some time. Why they couldn't have had a match between, I don't know, say Rusev and Cesaro, I don't know. They've got a whole buttload of people. They could have had another match. I'm just saying. Neville wasn't doing anything. Cesaro wasn't doing anything. Rusev wasn't doing anything. Who else? A whole butt ton of people weren't doing anything. So they could have done something other than have The Miz come out and jibber jabber. The Miz came out. The crowd couldn't fucking care less. Of course, you had this crowd, which was hot the whole night. And that Cena match kind of deflated them. But, they were still going. And so The Miz comes out. No one gives a shit at all. And he's babbling on about blah, 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 who cares on The Miz. Big Show's music hits, which immediately makes me think, oh, Christ. Big Show waddles out, climbs into the ring, punches Miz in the face, and walks out. That was awesome. He just walked in, laid Miz out, thank God, shut him up, and he left. That's how I'd like the Big Show to be used. Walk in, punch some fool, or choke slam some fool, and walk out. That's all he needs to do anymore, other than retire. And that's how that finished. And that was, it was an awful, awful segment, really, until Big Show popped The Miz in the mouth. And, watching The Miz get punched in the face never gets old. There was a segment of Miz TV, I think before WrestleMania, or it might have been before Royal Rumble, I don't know which. I think it was WrestleMania. And he was interviewing Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns just clocked him, just could not hit him right in the jaw. It was a wonderful sight to behold. But yeah, that was that. We then come to the main event. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight title. So this wasn't a very long match. It was about 11-12 minutes. And as I'm watching this, I kept looking at the timer, like, God damn, there's only 15 minutes left, and they haven't started this freaking match. And that's when they were doing the intros and everything. And I found out why after a few minutes. So the match was, It was actually, the match itself was pretty fun, because Brock Lesnar was throwing Seth Rollins around, and Seth Rollins can bump really well. Seth Rollins is a hell of a talent in the ring, no matter how annoying his promos get and how overexposed he is. He can bump around with the best of them. The best thing, I think, in the match was this moment where Seth Rollins jumps out of the ring and says, "The hell with this, I'm leaving," and he goes through the bell keeper area, the time clock area, takes the belt and goes through the crowd. Lesnar jumps out of the ring, just vaults over the barricade and grabs Rollins and brings him back in. It was incredible. And the sad thing was, though, is the cameras weren't in a place to get a really good shot of it, which sucks, because I bet it was just a hell of a visual. You caught a corner of it from what they showed on TV, but it was it was pretty freaking crazy. So yeah, Lesnar hit Rollins with a total of 13 suplexes, not all of them Germans, and hit an F5 when a gong rang out. Lights went out, gong again, lights come back up. Undertaker's in the ring, looking wicked pissed. Rollins is gone, ref is gone, and Lesnar's standing there with this oh shit shocked look on his face. They fight a bit. Eventually, Undertaker hits him with a choke slam, hits a couple of tombstones, and that was pretty much it. And then the show ended abruptly. And I didn't realize until I was listening to this morning as I was doing stuff after I watched it. I listened to both the Solid Monsters review and listened to a part of the Wrestling Soup After Show. And they both mentioned how the show ended 15 minutes early. Which is kind of incredible. A pay-per-view ending 15 minutes early. But yeah, that was because it was Undertaker's walking out of the ring. Boom, they just turned it off. Undertaker. My thoughts on Undertaker was he didn't look all that bad, and he's certainly not what he used to be. Is this going to turn into a program with Lesnar? Are they going to have a match at SummerSlam? I'm guessing. So maybe. I'd say, yeah. So that was that. I think if you're going to say that the best matches of the night, the three best matches were easily the Divas triple threat, the Owens Cena, and the Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt match. All three of those were really freaking good matches, and I enjoyed the hell out of all of them, except in the Owens Cena one. The finish screwed things up for me. But that was pretty much Battleground. Now, the questions you have coming out of it are, where do we go from here? I'm guessing Randy Orton and Sheamus still have a rivalry going on, unless Randy Orton is going to now challenge for the world title. Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt are obviously nowhere near done. The Divas are just getting started. There was a backstage interview Kevin Owens had with Eden, or whatever her name is. And he's like, I didn't submit. I live to fight another day. And, but it gave no indication of him going after John Cena. So who knows? What I would like to see is the setup of, say, a triple threat or a four-way match for the U.S. title at SummerSlam with Cesaro, with at least a three-way, a triple threat with Cesaro, Owens, and Cena. But you could probably throw Rusev in there for a fatal four-way. That way you could get the title off of Cena, you could put on Owens, and you could then go from there, a feud, an Owens-Cesaro feud, which I would love to see, and I think would do wonders. But then there's this part of me that I'd really like to see Cesaro challenge Seth Rollins. I'd like to see him in the world title picture. So yeah, so that's and the other thing is, where's Dean Ambrose? What's he gonna do? So is Dean Ambrose gonna join Roman Reigns in fighting the Wyatt family? that could actually be kind of cool. So yeah, that is kind of that with Battleground. Overall, and I asked the question in the title of this week's episode, Battleground, good or bad? And I'm going to say overall it was decent. I'm going to say it was good. The problem with it is the things that were bad weren't even that they were so much bad as that they were really disappointing. And I think that really bothered a lot of folks. But overall, it was a good show. None of the matches sucked balls, which was nice. Because a lot of times you have matches that are just fucking awful. None of these matches were awful. All of them were good. Some of them were really freaking good, like the three I mentioned. And then even the Orton-Sheamus match was actually good. So it was a good night of wrestling. And it was, overall, I had fun watching it. The main thing, other WWE-wise this week, besides Battleground, was the Divas segment on Raw. And I loved it. I probably should have talked about this before Battleground, since we're now going backwards in time. But the Brie Bella and company, or Nikki and company, came out doing their "We're the best," blah blah blah. Who fucking cares? Stephanie McMahon comes out, and I thought, huh. And so Stephanie's all on her woman power trip, which is great. She talked about the women's soccer team winning the World Cup, UFC, Ronda Rousey, all the blah, 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 blah. God, I almost did Don Tony there. That's scary. Anyway, she introduces Becky Lynch, and I loved that Becky Lynch was introduced first to a nice pop, Charlotte to a big pop, and then eventually Tamina and Naomi come out, and then she introduces Sasha Banks to a big pop, and everyone, you've got these three trio groups, Paige with Charlotte and Becky Lynch, and Paige and Becky Lynch especially, they just fit perfectly together. You've got Team Bella, which is Brie, Nikki, and Alicia Fox, and then what we now know as Bad, which is Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina. And it's pretty clear Sasha Banks is going to be the leader of this group. Well, a brawl ensues, and by the end of it, you've got Charlotte has Alicia Fox in the figure 8. Becky Lynch, I'm pretty sure, has Brie Bella in her armbar, which I cannot remember what she calls it, but it looks like it fucking hurts. Oh my god. And then brain stops working. Sasha has Nikki, I'm pretty sure it's Nikki, in the bank statement. And it was fantastic, and the crowd was going absolutely bonkers. This crowd was going ape shit for this. It was a fantastic segment. I popped big time. I was sitting in my seat. My hands were pumping in the air. So glad no one saw it, because it would have been horribly embarrassing. My wife would have completely made fun of me, and I would get less sex than I do now. It would be awful. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But it was a great moment, and I loved it. I loved that the Divas had the best segment of the week, and they were the big talk up to Battleground. They were the talk of the wrestling world for the week. So yeah. So that was pretty much the WWE main roster crap for this week. So let's go ahead and switch gears a tad and talk about NXT. NXT this week. Well, in my little description, I called it it was Scrubs filled, and it really was. It was like it was filler for this amazing main event. But we started off with Chad Gable and Jason Jordan against a couple of jabronis. Pretty good. Those two are actually going to be, I think, a really good tag team. They had a really cool finisher where Jason Jordan basically throws this guy up in the air. Gable catches him for a belly or a back suplex, belly to back suplex, and then does a bridge for a pin. It was pretty freaking cool looking. And so yeah, Jason Jordan finally has himself a partner that is worth a poop. So that's good. We then had Samoa Joe against some scrub, and Joe won with he hit a muscle buster and then into a sleeper submission that I forget the name of. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of boring. And even the Jordan and Gable tag team match was pretty boring. There was then a Baron Corbin video package where he was basically talking trash to all of the indie darlings. He made a comment, quote, "They got paid in chips and hot dogs." And what was great about that, when he made that comment, it showed a picture of Solomon Crow. I just thought that was pretty freaking hilarious. They're really working on making Corbin a heel, which works out because the NXT crowds have been turning on him, because he's gotten kind of boring. I like Baron Corbin. Solid Monster suggested that or was it Solid Monster? Shit, no, I think it was the Wrestling Soup guys. It was either Mish or Joey suggested that they bring up Corbin to become part of the Wyatt family, and I could go with that. It kind of goes a little bit against his lone wolf thing, but Then we had Eva Marie came out to be rained on by boos. Oh my god, that crowd hates her guts. And she said that next week I'm going to be my in-ring NXT debut. More boos ensued. My only thing with her is this girl needs to stop tanning. She looks like a baseball glove. She really does. And it's not attractive. We then had Blake and Murphy with Alexa Bliss come out against some more scrubs. It was actually Angelo Dawkins and Sawyer Fulton, who are just scrubs or jabronis, a bunch of jobbers. This was a pretty boring match until at the end. Blake and Murphy won. Alexa is sitting on the top rope, and she's like, "Come!" She says to the guys, "Come here," and she stands in their hands. So think of it like they're standing parallel to each other, and each one has one of Alexa Bliss's feet, almost like a cheerleading thing where you see cheerleaders do this. And they throw her in the air, which she turns into her Sparkle Splash, which she lands on one of the dudes. I forget which one. That was badass looking. I thought that was super cool. And she got huge height. It was, or height, because height is not a word. Sorry. Sorry, glove and boots. Please don't hurt me, Johnny T. And it was, it was really cool looking. Then what happened? Oh, then Sami Zayn came out for an in-ring promo medical update. You know what? I really miss Sami Zayn. The last few months, almost since the last TakeOver special, NXT has been kind of bland. And I think some of that has to do with the fact that Sami Zayn is injured. Hideo Itami is injured. Neville's on the main roster. Kevin Owens has been spending most of his time on the main roster. Samoa Joe hasn't really found his place yet, and plus he's still finishing out indie dates. The Lucha Dragons are gone. The Ascension is gone, but that's a good thing. So a lot of these people that had really made NXT, helped make NXT special, are gone. I think Finn Balor is going to be a great NXT champion. His match with Kevin Owens at Beast in the East was phenomenal. So I think I think there's a lot of future there. But if there's a lot of not future. There's a lot of potential with him. But NXT's kind of coasting right now. And it's going to get a little sadder with Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch all going up to the main roster. But during Sami Zayn's promo, he said he probably won't be back until the end of 2015 or early 2016. And then they showed some clips from their Comic-Con panel, and I swear to God, that thing was filmed on some jackass's phone. The quality was awful. So that was, we got some glimpses into Kevin Owens being his snarky awesomeness, but, you know, it was, they talked about the show coming up at the Barclays Center the night before SummerSlam, the night where they're really sticking a huge dick in the ass of Ring of Honor, even though there are reports that they're going to be working with who knows. Speaking of that show at the Barclays, our next takeover, Jushin Thunder Liger will be performing in that show. He will be taking on Tyler Breeze, which should be a hell of a match. Jushin Thunder Liger is 50 years old, from Japan, and I really knew him from his time in WCW, but he's wrestled pretty much everywhere except the WWE, and this is, I think, a one-time thing, but, that's kind of cool. Finally, Jushin Thunder Liger gets to be in a WWE ring, even though it's an NXT ring, and I really kind of do think of them as two separate entities. So that'll be interesting. We then come to the main event, which was Charlotte challenging Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's title. And this match was fan-fucking-tastic. These two women work so well together, and they are just so good, and this match was excellent. At one point, Charlotte did a great flare flop. Not the flip over the rope thing, but the one where, Flair would get hit and he'd just kind of walk for a second and then fall flat on his face. She did that, and it was great. And right after she did that, Sasha did a Flair strut. And it was hilarious. It was a great freaking match. And my notes on here, these girls make the main roster divas look so freaking bad, which then we turn around and see on Battleground how true that is. Fantastic match. Really nice moment at the end where they're both they hug each other and they're crying. Of course, then to turn around and see them fighting each other on Raw and Battleground was kind of weird, but I guess you could just chalk it up to the emotionalness. And maybe they saw that, and maybe they kind of knew this was going to be their last big match on NXT together. So yeah, that was NXT for this week. Not a bad show, not a great show, but it is what it is, or was what it was. All right, so let us go on to what do we have next. Well, the two other real things we're going to talk about this week, we had Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor. We'll do Lucha Underground first. So Lucha Underground started off with Pentagon Jr. in Dario Cueto's office. Cueto's talking about these ancient Aztec medallions, and Pentagon, don't you want one? Pentagon's like, no. First match was the Mighty Bengala, who looks like an extra from Cats, versus Delavar Daivari. Daivari fucking sucks. That's all I can really say about that. I just don't like him. Bengala won. Bengala's apparently been around for a long time. I'd never heard of the dude. Vampiro got in the ring for a promo, talking, basically cutting a promo about Pentagon Jr. Pentagon Jr. comes out, calls Vampiro a chicken or a coward, some staring, and eventually my brain decides to lose its train of thought. That's what's going to happen. Vampiro accepts the challenge for Ultima Lucha and then lays out Pentagon Jr. with a pretty wicked looking chokeslam. So we had, that's something I'm looking forward to. Vampiro versus Pentagon Jr. at Ultima Lucha. And I'm not that familiar with Vampiro's career. About all I really know about the guy was his time in WCW, which was during one of WCW's probably bleakest times. So I don't know a whole lot about him. I have loved him him and Matt Stryker, their announcing team work that they do on Lucha Underground is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to this. It should be interesting. We then had King Cuerno against Killshot for another medallion. Pretty good match. Cuerno won with a cool looking submission, if I remember correctly. We then had Sexy Star versus Superfly. This match was over in about 30 seconds, which Sexy Star grabbed some kind of armbar submission. Superfly tapped out. Marty the Moth then came into the ring and challenged for a medallion, and about 10 seconds later that was over and Marty tapped out to the same armbar. It was something. We then had the final segment, which was Prince Puma and Mil Muertes in the ring with Dario Cueto. When just those two came out, Cueto said, no violence. When Katrina comes out and he's like, no, you're not supposed to be here, then the demon face or the skeleton face guys come out, and then Conan comes out. Brawl ensues, and it was just ended up being a beatdown of Puma and Conan. Conan goes into the coffin they wheeled out that Mil Muertes had been buried in all those months ago in his match against Phoenix. And that's how the show ended. Good show. I mean, Lucha Underground has not had a bad show yet. Still no official word on Season 2. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody. Unfortunately, they did not get their Emmy nomination, which sucks. One other Lucha Underground note. So I got confused a couple weeks ago. I watched some TNA. I know that was my first problem. First mistake right there. But I was watching some TNA and Hernandez came out and I was like, what the fuck? Okay, so I guess he's left Lucha Underground. Forgetting, of course, that Lucha Underground's all of their stuff's been taped for months. Apparently, he got fired from TNA because his contract with Lucha Underground stated you can go wrestle other places, just don't show up on TV until after August 5th. Well, he didn't tell TNA that, and they filmed a shitload of matches with him, apparently, for future episodes. Well, Lucha Underground lawyers reached out to TNA. I was like, guys, you really can't use him. He's under contract. So Hernandez got fired, and then MVP up and quit. So poor TNA. Let's just pile some more poop on their already big poop sandwich. They now have all of these holes in these shows that they've pre-taped that they're going to have to fill. So that sucks for them. Yeah, that's pretty much Lucha Underground for this week. We then go to Ring of Honor. And Ring of Honor is a show I really enjoy watching. Ring of Honor every week. I think lately my Ring of Honor and Lucha Underground have kind of been my two favorite shows. NXT is often in a close third, but I really enjoy watching Ring of Honor. And this wasn't a fantastic episode, but it didn't suck. We opened up, we had a match with Adam Page against Matt Sydal. Page is part of the Decade with BJ Whitmer, and then King Carino's kid, Cody Carino, is Adam Page's boy or something like that. This is a pretty good match. I think Adam Page has a lot of potential. BJ Whitmer has no potential. This guy he has reached the peak of his career. He has no hopes of ever going to someplace like NXT or WWE, unless they just get desperate for people in NXT, and then I still don't think he has a prayer. He's just not very good. Adam Page has a lot of potential. So this is a good match. Matt Sydal ends up winning. After the match, Page and Whitmer start beating down Sydal. ACH comes out to make a save. ACH comes out to try to make a save. He doesn't. Page does his pile driver move thingy with Seidel onto a bunch of chairs. Looked like it sucked. But, good match, good segment. Veda Scott comes out, cut a beside the ring promo on Moose. It was a promo. Silas Young had a match against Will Ferreira. I fast forwarded through most of this match because I don't really give two shits about either of these guys. Distraction roll up thanks to the boys, who are Dalton Castle's guys. So Ferreira got the win. Silas Young freaked out, beat up the boys. That was it. We then had our main event. Mark Briscoe against Jay Lethal for the World Television title. Roderick Strong was on commentary. He is not a very good talker. That's all I got to say about that. This was a very good match. Eventually, how members of the House of Truth ended up coming out. ODB and Jay Briscoe all came down. Lethal won. There was kind of a distraction. He hit the lethal injection, and he got the pin. A brawl ensued afterwards. And setting up an 8-person tag next week, the House of Truth guys, all 4 of them, including Truth Martini, will take on Mark and Jay Briscoe, ODB, and Roderick Strong. Should be pretty good. I'm looking forward to that, and that will be the 200th episode of the Ring of Honor. So that was Ring of Honor for this week. Pretty good show. Really none of the shows this week were fantastic. None of them really sucked ass. I'm thinking, I didn't really talk much about Raw. I took a shitload of notes. But nothing this week really, sucked a dick, which was nice. So that was good. And my brain stopped working. So there's that. And WWE.com put out a list this week of the 10 best matches of the year so far. And it's a pretty fun little list, and we're going to kind of go through this, and I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts, because a lot of these matches were phenomenal fucking matches. So we had number 10, John Cena against Sami Zayn for the United States Championship on Raw. Totally agree with that being in there. That was a fantastic match. We then had Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the World Championship. It was the ladder match at Money in the Bank. That was a great freaking match. So agree with that. Number 8, Chris Jericho versus Neville at the Beast in the East special from Tokyo. I guess. That was a great match. I'm not sure if I would put it in the 10 best of the year so far. Then we had number 7, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania with the run-in from Seth Rollins. So the thing that made that match really stand out is, one, Roman Reigns did a really good job against Brock Lesnar. He bumped around for him, and the moments when he just kind of sat there and laughed as Lesnar was beating the piss out of him were good. But what really made that match was the cash-in of Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, which had never happened. So yeah. Then we have Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler Intercontinental Championship match on Raw. And this is the one match of all of these matches I'm sitting thinking to myself, did I see that? And they have at least clips of it on here, so I'm going to watch it at some point. But knowing these two guys, they're going to have a hell of a match. I think I don't know, I slept since then. I can't remember. We then had number 5, John Cena versus Cesaro, Raw last week, July 13th. Wholeheartedly agree with this. The matches that Cena has had with Cesaro have been fucking incredible. 100% agree. Number 4, Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship at the Beast in the East special. Couldn't agree more. That was an amazing match. Number 3, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley versus Becky Lynch. The NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way from NXT TakeOver Rival. That would have been, I'd say that was probably match of the year so far. That was fantastic. Number 2, John Cena versus Kevin Owens at the Elimination Chamber. Also agree. Great freaking match. And number 1, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title at the Royal Rumble. That was a good match. I don't think it was the best match of the year so far, but it was a good match. That's pretty much it on the wrestling front. I did, and I forgot this as I was writing up my stuff for the week, so I'm going to have to go in and edit that, but I did want to talk about one other thing. Yesterday, my son Nolan and I went to go see Ant-Man, and I mentioned before I'm a big comic book fan. I love comic book movies and shows. I've obsessively been watching them, and I was really looking forward to Ant-Man. And Ant-Man is a movie that was, it's kind of a, what's this going to be like? We're not sure. It's an unknown thing. And it was great. It was very different. It didn't feel like a superhero movie, because in a lot of ways it was a heist movie that happens to have some Marvel superheroes in it. Paul Rudd was excellent in it, and Michael Douglas was excellent. It was a lot of fun. If you go into this movie thinking, oh, hey, I'm going to go watch the Avengers, you will walk out disappointed. Just like people when the show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out 2 years ago, right after the first Avengers movie, walked into that thinking, hey, this is going to be a TV show of the Avengers, and then walked out going, what the hell was that piece of crap? That's because it's a different show. That show's a spy show. And it's a pretty darn good one, actually. And just like Agent Carter is a spy show. Luckily, Agent Carter, there was no mistaking that show, you didn't go into that one thinking, oh, this is going to be a superhero show. No, it's a spy show. And this movie was a heist movie in Ant-Man. And it works. It was a lot of fun. I highly suggest it. And so yeah, go check it out. If you have the time, money, and inclination, it's definitely worth the fundage to go give a watch. It's a fun afternoon, especially if in your area, our AMC theaters here in the Oklahoma City area, shows before 4 o'clock are like $4 and some change. And you can't beat that. Just paraphrase a line from Enzo and Cass. So that's going to do it for this week on Around the Ring. Appreciate you listening in. Don't forget to check us out each and every week. The show drops on Mondays, and you can then hear us on Tuesdays at Kings of Wrestling Radio at kowradio.weebly.com. Please give us a follow on the Twitter at Around the Ring OK. Go and like that Facebook page if you so choose at facebook.com/Around the Ring OK. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, shoot me an email, aroundtheringok@gmail.com. And we do have a homepage, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. So give that check that out if you have a moment. I'd greatly appreciate it. You can also listen to us each and every week, not only on Kings of Wrestling Radio. You can find us on Stitcher, on TuneIn, and on the Spark Radio Network. So please give us a check out there, and if you like what you hear, hit the little like buttons on those, little thumbs up. That would be fantastic. So, like I said, that's going to do it for this week. I appreciate everyone listening in. Hope everyone has a great week, and just like the great Jerry Springer used to always say, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view and believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.